Today we're going to be talking about the best grocery credit cards. The previous 2 weeks we've been talking about the best credit cards in certain categories like gas stations and dining. So this week we're going to talk about the best grocery credit card, which is the other big three spend that a lot of people do. And like I mentioned in the previous videos, we're not going to take into effect credit union cards, store credit cards, branded credit cards like hotel and airline credit cards or anything like that. So let's get right into it. So the first credit card that we're going to be talking about today is the American Express Blue Cash Everyday credit card. And we talked about this credit card previously in the last video as well, getting 3% on gas station purchases. And this card also gets 3% on US supermarket purchases. So you can spend up to $6,000 per year for a total of $180 cash back per year on this credit card. And like we mentioned last week as well, this credit card could be broken up into like a quarterly category card, being $1,500 per quarter that you could spend up to $6,000 per year. But what makes it more flexible, being a limit for a year instead of a quarter, is that you can spend a lot more one quarter than another quarter, like we talked about as well last week. And it does say US supermarkets only, so this isn't a credit card that you want to take with you across the country, especially because it does have foreign transaction fees on this card. But this card does have no annual fees. The next credit card on the list is one we've talked about the last 2 weeks as well, which is the Venmo credit card. And if you don't remember or haven't watched the other two videos, the Venmo credit card gets 3% on your highest spend category out of the 8 select categories that Venmo has. And grocery stores is one of those categories. As well, the Venmo credit card gets 2% on your second highest spend and 1% everywhere else. So if you want to do your big three spend on the Venmo credit card, you could get 3% on grocery stores, 2% on dining, 1% on gas if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend you doing that, but if you had the Venmo card only or wanted to get the Venmo card just for that purpose, then you can do that very easily. This card is 3% unlimited on all your spend for your top categories, so you don't have to worry about having a cap or anything like that, like the American Express credit card. The next credit card on the list is a previous card that we talked about as well, but not in the last video because it is missing the gas station category, which is the One SavorOne card. This card gets 3% unlimited on a bunch of different categories, and grocery stores is one of those categories that it has on this card. And this card as well has no annual fees and no foreign transaction fees, so this card would be a great card to take with you when you go across the country, especially if you have the Venture X card to be able to have it as the Capital One Duo, to be able to earn a lot more rewards and points together with it. The next credit card that we talked about in the first video as well for the dining category is the older brother to the One SavorOne card, which is the One Savor Rewards credit card. And this credit card actually earns the same 3% unlimited on all grocery store purchases and also has no foreign transaction fees, but does have a $95 annual fee. If you're strictly getting the Savor Rewards card just for the same multipliers as the SavorOne credit card, then I would definitely just go with the SavorOne credit card. I mentioned this previously too, that the SavorOne card is probably better for you to be able to get more benefit from it without having to pay an annual fee, because they're pretty similar unless you're going to be spending a lot on the 4% categories that the Savor Rewards card does have, then that would be the better card to get. But with these two categories being exactly the same, the SavorOne credit card is the one that I would get. The next credit card on the list is the Citi Premier credit card. And I know that if you watched the previous video, I did forget to mention it in my first video with the best dining credit cards. Well, this credit card earns 3 times unlimited on supermarket purchases. And supermarket purchases are pretty much the same as grocery store purchases, but you still want to be able to test out your credit card, make sure that the categories are counted through your credit card issuer. But for the most part, it should count any grocery store that you go to. Just as a note to make as well, if the store isn't categorized as a grocery or a supermarket, it's not going to count, like for Target and Walmart. A lot of credit cards out there make sure to put specifically in their big print that Target and Walmart are excluded from grocery store purchases. So Target and Walmart won't be included in this until later on for a specific credit card. But anyway, the Citi Premier credit card gets 3 times unlimited on supermarket purchases, has no foreign transaction fees, but does have a $95 annual fee that we talked about previously. This card is great for travel purposes and great to complete your city trifecta if you are looking to complete that. But otherwise, there are other credit cards on the list that may be better than this credit card. But still, if you're part of the Citi team, then you want to be able to use this card for sure. Next credit card on the list probably doesn't need any introduction, but we're going to do so, which is the American Express Gold card. And this card gets 4 times on US supermarkets. You can spend up to $25,000 per year, and that has a potential of being worth more through travel transfers like through travel partners or the travel portal or wherever you can be able to get more value with your American Express points. And this card has no foreign transaction fees as well, but does have a $250 annual fee. And it is unfortunate that it is only for US supermarkets that this counts for, especially because it has no foreign transaction fees. But still, it is a great card to be able to use at your local US supermarkets or anywhere like that to be able to get 4 times on all your purchases, especially if you're looking to use those points to be able to use for travel purposes. If you're not using it for travel purposes, then the American Express Gold card isn't really worth using at supermarket purchases or the grocery store or anywhere like that. The next card on the list is the Citi Custom Cash credit card. And I think for a lot of people out there who love Team Cashback and are just looking for a pretty simple credit card, the Citi Custom Cash card is that credit card, because you can be able to earn 5% on your top spend category of your choice, and grocery stores is one of those categories on the list as well. Like previously we talked about how dining and restaurants are on there, grocery stores are on there as well, so you can be able to get 5% on grocery store purchases. So this card is pretty much the perfect credit card if you decide one month you're going to spend more on one category than the other, or you just want to spend it on one category throughout the year. This could be your designated grocery card instead of a dining or gas credit card, as you can be able to get 5% on your spend up to $500 per month for a total of $25 cash back per month. And like we talked about previously too, this card does only get you $500 per month, which is comparable to a $1,500 spend per quarter with those quarterly category cards. But you can still be able to get 5%, which is a lot higher than any of those other multipliers. But depending on how much you use that credit card that month, per month or per quarter or per year, one credit card might give you more value than another credit card. So you just have to do the math, figure out how much spend you're going to do each month, each quarter, each year to see which credit card would actually be the best for you. The next credit card on the list is actually a very unique credit card because it isn't really categorized for grocery purchases, but you can be able to get groceries at certain places that this credit card is able to get multipliers for. It is the US Bank Shopper Cash Rewards credit card. And this credit card gets you 6% up to $1,500 per quarter combined for 2 realtors of your choice. So for this specific spend type, you would want to use this card for Target and Walmart because you can be able to get 6% on those purchases for those retailers. And yes, this card doesn't have a grocery category, but it does have Target and Walmart in the 6% category that you can get. So if you get your groceries at either of those 2 stores, you can be able to get 6% on your groceries. And I know we talked about not including store credit cards, but this is kind of in a way like a store credit card where you can be able to get your 6% multiplier at certain locations depending on what you choose. And though, like I said, we're not mentioning store credit cards, the Target Red Card or the Target MasterCard is actually a great grocery credit card as well that you can be able to get 5% off on all your purchases. And as Target does have grocery items in the store, you can be able to get 5% off on all your spend there for grocery purchases. But the US Bank Shopper Cash Rewards credit card does have a $95 annual fee, which is waived for the first year, like we talked about previously in the last video. So this card technically is like a wild card in a way, where it doesn't fit the norm of being a grocery credit card, but you could use it as a grocery credit card if you shop at Target or Walmart or maybe one of the other locations that they do have for their 6% category. But I believe Target and Walmart were really the big ones that I noticed that you could be able to purchase groceries at. And then the last credit card on the list is the American Express Preferred credit card. And we mentioned this credit card last week as well, being the same as the Blue Cash credit card for the American Express card. But this card, this is where the $95 annual fee gives the boost to a multiplier, and it gets you 6% on US supermarkets. So you can be able to spend $6,000 per year for a total of $360 cash back per year for this credit card. So you're getting double the cash back that you would with this credit card compared to the Blue Cash credit card. But you do have that $95 annual fee, which is waived for the first year. And it really depends on, like for those 2 credit cards, because one gets 3% and one gets 6%, but one does have a $95 annual fee. And if you actually do the math for these credit cards, since you could get $360 with the preferred credit card, and if you subtract the $95 annual fee that you would get each year, you would get for a total of $265 cash back per year, which is actually more than the $180 that you would get with the Blue Cash credit card for your cashback rewards per year. But you would need to spend the whole $6,000 a year to get that $360 cash back. And you could spend less to be able to make the annual fee credit card worth more than the no annual fee credit card. But that just depends on where you shop and how you shop and what you do with the credit card. So what do you think of this list? Do you think this is a great list? Do you use one of these credit cards on the list, or do you have a different credit card that you use that you can be able to get even more value? Let us know down in the comments below which card you use, and if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my content releases. And thank you, and hope you have a great day. Thanks.